Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my favourite decks for 2015. This part will detail my favourite Oracle decks of 2015. Again, I have 8, although that wasn't intentional. I just picked the ones that I've really been drawn to this year, that I've been drawn to again and again and again. So these are the top 8 Oracle decks for me for 2015. I hope you enjoy. So a really big deck for me this year was the Vintage Wisdom Oracle by Victoria Mosley. And this is a pretty popular deck. It is absolutely beautiful. It is kind of a collage-y style, but it's done playfully and cleverly, and it just works. It works really well. Oh, sorry, I'm shaking quite a bit today. I use this deck a little bit for divination, but a lot more for affirmation or intention setting for a day, and I also use it for meditation. But what I found this deck really useful for is distress tolerance. That's fancy language for learning to cope with your emotions in the moment. So if I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety or really intense feelings, stepping into these cards is a really mindful activity for me, much like what some people do with like coloring or whatever it is, that mindful activity that just kind of really grounds you but takes you out of yourself enough that you become a little bit detached from your emotions and the immediate experience of your emotions. This deck has done that for me this year, so it's been a wonderful healing tool for me. This deck certainly matches my altar setup at the moment. It is the Magic and Manifestation Affirmation cards by Stella Ray. This is an Australian deck that I've had since several years ago now, and it's recently managed a bit of a resurgence or reawakening. Ethany discovered this deck and then became a distributor for North America, which meant people outside of Australia had much better access to it, which was wonderful. But this deck has been, it was the second deck I got, I think, and it's been one that I love working with. It's one that you can spend, 30 seconds with, getting a daily message, an intention, or an affirmation, or you can spend hours with one card. It's just one of those decks that has exactly what you need in the moment, as much or as little as you need in the moment. It's an absolutely beautiful deck, but it's very versatile in its use. Another Australian deck is one that a lot of people know and love. It's the Connected and Free Alchemist Oracle by Anna Hugh. This is a beautiful deck, and it is so much fun to work with. It has been compared to the Wild Unknown. I don't really agree all that much. I think it's much more playful. It's a really friendly deck, but it's got a serious message too when you need it. I think it's a very clever deck. I think it's beautiful, and this deck was a lot of fun for me. I used it a lot, and still do find myself going to it quite regularly. It's an absolute staple as far as I'm concerned, as far as Oracle decks go. The Madame Endora's Fortune cards. This is a fun deck. This is the first kind of more fortune-telling deck I've ever really had. And I really wasn't sure what to expect. I'd seen it quite a while ago and almost clicked the buy button. But I think I didn't have enough confidence to try something like this. But then when Kelly from The Truth and Story got it, I had to get it, and it's a really quite inexpensive deck, and I've had so much fun with it. It is such a different experience reading with this deck than it is with Oracle or Tarot, or any of the Oracle or Tarot that I own anyway. But it also encouraged me to, I think I was looking at Tarot as a very psychological, archetypal tool, and even oracle decks. And I still feel that way, but this deck encouraged me to kind of step out of that box just a little bit, and to kind of be open to the possibility of that more divinatory, fortune telling, but not quite that serious aspect of cartomancy. And I've had a lot of fun exploring that. I'm going to talk about these decks together because for me they work very similarly. They're both by Colette Baron Reid and both by the same artist as well. And I did get the Wisdom of the Oracle first, which is this deck here, and I just absolutely loved it. It's so clear, it's so intuitive, oops, and it is absolutely beautiful, and it's just fun to work with. It really is. And so that prompted me to then go ahead and get the Enchanted Map Oracle, which is an older deck of Colette Baron Reid's, and it has got a slightly more earthy, grounded sort of feel to it, but it still is very clear and precise with its messages, and I just get a lot out of both of these decks. I do use the guidebooks for these decks most of the time, just because I do think that her messages are really insightful, and they're always really spot on for me with these decks. So I use both of them frequently, and I love using both of them. So they're kind of just two sides of the same coin for me. Slightly different, but really work in the same way, and I love them both. I've spoken about this deck a lot. It is the Dreamtime Reading Cards by Laura Bowen, and it is a beautiful Australian Aboriginal dot painting styled oracle deck. It is still one of my absolute favourite decks. I think it's so beautiful, and I love Laura Bowen's descriptions and discussions in the guidebook. I adore her work. She's coming out with a new oracle deck next year, which I'm really excited to get, and it's the Saltwater Oracle. It's a beautiful deck, and I have blackened the edges, and I think it looks really sleek now. I love it. This is my favourite goddess themed deck, and it is the Goddess Oracle by Amy Sophia Marashinsky and Harana Yanto. I love this deck. I do have the Goddess Guidance Oracle by Doreen Virtue, and I do love and use that deck quite regularly. But this deck, I feel, has much more diversity in it, which is important to me, but it's also, I think, a much more true and respectful representation of the goddesses. Their stories are, here's Lilith, their stories are told in a much more authentic way, I feel, and respect their cultural backgrounds a lot more. And I also just really adore this artwork. I think it's a beautiful oracle deck, and I don't really use it for divination. I will use it for intention setting and focus points for meditation. I'll use it just to kind of explore the beautiful expanse of the Divine Feminine and of myself. I love working with the Divine Feminine, and this deck is a beautiful way to do that. So those are my favourite oracle decks of 2015. I hope you enjoyed, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what oracle decks you have been using and loving for 2015, and I will see you all again in the new year. Much love, guys. Bye.